there, my name is Sadie and I was recently accepted into medical school. Around this time last year, I was searching the internet for an application editing service to take a look at my personal statement and came across Motivate MD. I actually ended up trying a few different application editing services and just loved Motivate MD that I continued to use them for my work and activity section as well as my secondary essays and later interview prep in the fall. Something that I love about Motivate MD is that all of their editors are either current medical students or practicing physicians. This was really great to have insight into the medical field that was up to date and to have these professionals reading over your application and giving you advice and making sure everything that you're saying is congruent and representative of what to expect in medicine. And that's something I really appreciated. You get really great quality feedback that's also informed by the medical field. Another thing that I really liked about Motivate MD is their timeliness. So they return everything within 48 to 72 hours, but I found that about half the time I got things in less than 24 hours and more often less than 48 hours, which if you're anything like me, applying to medical school can be a little bit of an anxious process, and to have that peace of mind that you're gonna get your work back in a timely manner was really great. When I did get my submitted pieces back, there was so much great quality feedback on there. So the application editors will read for grammar and they'll also read for context. So a lot of the times if I had a section in any of my written essays that was lacking context or needed more detail in order to provide a clearer image, they would put leading questions in the comments. They would state where there was confusion and kind of what information they were looking for. Long story short, they were super precise and super detailed in their feedback. They did not shy away from commenting, and that's something that I really, really appreciated. In addition to that, they also really provided encouraging comments. They let you know what areas of your essay was strong and what ideas were really helpful in conveying who you are as an applicant. And those comments really helped me develop a lot of my other parts of my application, including my secondaries and work and activities down the road. So that's something that I also really liked about Motivate MD, was not only were they providing constructive criticism and feedback for things you should change, but they also gave me insight into things that were strong and things that I should definitely keep and hold on to and focus on. Another thing that I liked about Motivate MD is they also provided some word suggestions for areas if you repeated a word a lot. For example, you might see that you say I learned a lot, or I experienced, or this experience. And you don't want to be too repetitive in your application. And so having that fresh set of eyes to read your application and see what you kept repeating over and over again, or what idea you just restated in a different way but already said, was something that was super helpful. And that is really important when you're applying to medical school with the character counts. You want to make sure you maximize the characters and have the most impact with them. And so making sure that you have someone read your application in order to make sure that you're doing that was something super helpful for me. Another great thing about Motivate MD is the cost. For me, it was a no-brainer. I was getting really great feedback and really great quality service with my personal statement, so to send them my work and activity section as well as my secondaries was just a really wise investment, and I knew I was getting the best bang for my buck with Motivate MD. Another thing that I really liked about Motivate MD was their customer service. Becca is super great at responding to emails, and a lot of the times I would hear back from her less than an hour, less than a few hours, but usually for sure within the day. And that's something I really appreciated, especially with everything in medical school, application cycles being really dependent on time. Having a quick response from the company was super, super great. Another thing I really liked about Motivate MD was their attention to detail. So a lot of the times if there was something specific that I needed from their service, I could email Becca and she would really help coordinate that. For example, when I was interview prepping, I did end up applying to both MD and DO schools, and I wanted to make sure that before each type of school that I had a mock interview with someone who was familiar with the MD school route and someone who was also familiar with the DO school route, just to make sure that the answers that I had been practicing were congruent with what is true, and that my research was accurate, and that my responses were well informed. And that couldn't have been more helpful in kind of really narrowing down my interview answers, as well as making sure that they were just informed and accurate. And it gave me a lot of confidence knowing that having someone with that background was listening to my answers and providing feedback. So I can't say enough great things about Motivate MD. I highly recommend them for your personal statement, work and activities, secondary essays, interview prep. It's really nice to have a service that is super inclusive of all parts of the application and is super knowledgeable with their information in the medical school application world. And having people who are medical students and physicians kind of guide you along this process is something that gave me a lot of confidence when it came time to apply to medical school. So again, I can't recommend Motivate MD enough, and I'm super grateful for all their services that they provide.